Welcome back to the Savage Executive Podcast, where intention beats hustle. Leadership is built, not born, and margin makes room for momentum. I'm your host, Steve Smith, and I'm glad that you are here. We're going to jump in today with one of the major parts of our intro, and that's where margin makes room for momentum. And today we're going to talk about margin creating momentum. So let's start with our savage moment. Here it is. If you're always running, you'll miss what matters most. If you're always running, you will miss what matters most. That line challenges the pace most of us are living and leading with. If it feels like a gut punch, can I say good? That means it's for you. Today we're diving into a leadership principle that doesn't get nearly enough airtime, but it might be just the most strategic tool that you will have in your leadership arsenal, and that is margin. First, let me share a personal story because I didn't always live this way. A little over a decade early in my ministry leadership journey, I was tasked with a pretty massive assignment: revamp the entire budgeting process and do it fast. We had a couple of months in order to rewrite every part of the budgeting process. We had a tight deadline, a lot on the line, and I threw myself fully into the work. I was proud of how we pulled it off, but something subtle happened during that time. I stopped breathing. Not literally, but I stopped creating space. That urgent sprint, it never stopped. I was promoted into the executive pastor role shortly after that, and that same rhythm followed me. Calendar packed, inbox overflowing, constantly racing. Felt like I was doing what high-capacity leadership required. And then one day, something strange happened. I walked into my office, looked at my to-do list, and it was done. For the first time in years, there was nothing demanding my attention. No fires, no frantic deadlines, no meetings, just quiet. And I panicked. I felt guilty, unproductive, like I wasn't earning my role. I sat at my desk wondering, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And that's when it hit me. I was finally leading. In that quiet moment, for the first time in a long time, I started to see the future. I started seeing ideas, vision, and next level thinking that I hadn't had the space to access before. Margin wasn't a break from leadership. It was the space leadership had been waiting for. Since that moment, I've learned to fight for margin. I've made it part of how I operate and how I train my team to lead. Because margin isn't a luxury, it's leverage. Let's get clear on what margin really is. It's not laziness. It's not extra. It's not something you wait to earn. Margin is strategic space. It's the difference between leading reactively and leading proactively, between drowning in the now and seeing into what's next. Here's the practical reality. You won't find margin. You have to make it. Let me give you a quick framework that I use when evaluating my leadership energy. There are three types of margin that every leader needs. First of all, mental margin, the space to think, reflect, and gain clarity. This is strategic white space, the CEO time that you block every single week. I would encourage you, block it into your calendar, treat it like any other appointment, and make it non-negotiable. The second type of margin every leader needs is relational margin, unhurried time to invest in your top people. This is where trust and alignment are built. The next one is spiritual margin, the space to recenter on your values, your calling, and your purpose. It's where you anchor your leadership beyond metrics. If you're feeling overwhelmed or stagnant, check those three areas. You may not be burned out. You may just be margin starved. Let me give you a leadership layer to this. Margin isn't just for you, it's for your team. One of the biggest shifts in my own leadership happened when I realized margin wasn't just a personal productivity tool, it was a leadership multiplier. When I create space to think, I'm a better coach, a better mentor, a better strategist. And when my team sees me prioritizing margin, they feel the permission to do the same. We started actually teaching this throughout our organization. Why? Because a team that leads from clarity will always outperform a team that leads from exhaustion. Now, before we wrap, let me call out 3 most common margin killers. I see them among high capacity leaders. First is overcommitment disguised as opportunity. Not every good thing is a right thing. The second is inbox addiction. You're not your email. Constant checking doesn't equal leadership. The third is chronic urgency. When everything is urgent, nothing is strategic. If you recognize any of those patterns, it's time to wrestle back your space. So let's get practical. How can we begin building margin into our leadership right now, this week? The first thing that I would tell you is to audit your time. Go over last week's calendar. What was truly strategic? What could have been delegated, delayed, or even deleted altogether? Also, schedule strategic white space. Block 90 minutes this week just for thinking. No calls, no meetings, no email, just space. In fact, I would turn on Do Not Disturb on all of your devices and ensure that nothing penetrates that space. Also, reframe guilt as growth. If you feel guilty like I did when you create space, remind yourself, this is executive leadership. This is what the job actually requires. So here's your savage takeaway for today. Margin is not a pause from leadership. It's where true leadership begins. So the challenge, block your time before time blocks you. Carve out margin and protect it like your next breakthrough depends on it, because it does. Thanks for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with a leader that you know who's running fast and might need a reminder to slow down to see further. And as always, stay sharp, lead boldly, and keep building what matters. And I will see you on the next episode.